All right, here we are live on YouTube, the Leroy and Earl Show, and it's 7:01 because at 6:55 I remembered that going live on YouTube is not easy anymore. Thank you, YouTube. It used to be great. I could go into OBS, hit start streaming, and I didn't even have to open YouTube up to do that. But no, now gotta go hit start streaming on OBS, and then we gotta go to YouTube and do a bunch of stuff there. So anyway, this is the Leroy and Earl Show pre-show. We're not actually live yet, and we're getting ready to go live. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. I just like to get live on YouTube first, then I can do what I got to do here. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll see a picture of my new co-host Carlisi there, having a donut, being attacked by white girls. One of two of his favorite hobbies that he has. Unfortunately, he's not here this evening. Came down with sickness yesterday, and he's very upset, very sad. He feels like he's betrayed all of his fans, new fans here on the Leroy and Earl Show. But he'll be back next week. So I got lots of stuff to talk about. So I'm going to start the show. So first I got to hit record over here on that. So now I don't have to worry about that. And then I'm going to go live on Podbean. And hopefully that works. Who knows if it'll work. I'm going to hit that start button right there. And here we go. What was I going to do? Oh boy, it's all falling apart. Just like it always does.
All right, chumps up. Let's do this. Leroy!
Yo, Earl! What? Hey, you're fired! You butt!
Unacceptable condition! Unacceptable!
I stopped believing in God when I realised it was just dog backwards.
Guess what, shift heads? It's time for the Leroy and Earl Show.
Okay, here we are at the Leroy and Earl Show, and I am not Leroy. My name is Chuck Jones, and I'm just going to get right into this. Not going to do a lot of fanfare on the Leroy and Earl Show. We are live on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, Leroy and Earl, and we are live on Podbean, I think, I hope, I don't know. Maybe I'll check here in a few minutes. I don't know, I don't care. I got too much going on right now to care. I have too much to tell you, shift heads, to care. I believe you can call me at 330-474-9833. I checked it beforehand and it was working. So if anybody wants to call, thank you, Carlisi. He just texted me and said I'm live on Podbean. Awesome. As I said in the YouTube pre-show, Carlisi could not make it tonight. He got attacked by a bunch of young white girls, and they shoved donuts in his mouth. And there was a picture on the YouTube. It's right there. He just, he was overwhelmed and he couldn't make it. So he said he'll be here next week. He apologizes. He's sorry for the hugest betrayal of all time, because this is a big show tonight. It's a big historic event in the Leroy and Earl Odyssey. Dave, if you're listening, Face of Dave from Twitter, you can call me, 330-474-9833. Probably, and there's a live way to call us on Podbean, too. I don't know how. It's the Podbean app. But if you could give me just a few minutes, Dave, before you call, if you're listening. Because I got a few things I got to take care of. My name is Chuck Jones, as I said. Leroy's not here. Earl's not here. As you all know, Earl has left. I need to introduce myself. I am one of the co-creators and founders of this show, the Leroy and Earl Show, the Adult Cartoon Podcast, along with my partner, Earl Lemus Tate, which isn't his real name. James Crash is his name. We created this show in 2014, and we had this grandiose idea of doing a podcast that was different, that was going to be like an adult cartoon of audio on a podcast. So we set out to hire individuals to complete this stream, and we hired these individuals, Leroy, and Earl Lemus Tate. And they did the show for quite a while, a good solid year and a half, and then they quit for a while, and then they did it for another year. And then Earl left. Earl quit. And Leroy begged me to let him continue to do the show. I'm funding the show. I'm the man behind the show, pretty much. So I let Leroy continue without Earl, but it was never the same. The adult cartoon aspect of the podcast that made it so popular with our Shifthead fans, it just wasn't there, even though Leroy did a great job. I don't want to disparage him too much. But it got to the point where I, as the owner of the show, James Crash, had kind of left, so it was all on me. As the creator and owner of the show, I kind of had to... I felt something had to happen. The show wasn't going anywhere. It wasn't getting any traction. We weren't getting any more followers. We have some great loyal shift heads who listen to the show and actually donate every month to help keep it going. So I had Leroy. I said, well, you got to find another co-host. So he found Carlisi. Great co-host. I think it's going to be great, except there was some things going on. Carlisi says the audio is amazing on Podbean. Well, that's cool. I'm assuming he meant Podbean. Excuse me. So I did what I should have done years ago, in that I went out to a Facebook community for podcasters, which is 30,000 members strong. It's a huge, I don't remember the name of it, but anyway, I've been a part of it for years. I basically just read it to gather information, and I haven't really been that active in it, but I decided this year I wanted this show to either start gaining some traction or be done. I was tired of funding it, tired of worrying about it, tired of trying to keep Leroy in line, and then that guy, Ricky Dixon, the other guys, Saul Gorman, Father James, and then new people coming in this year. Some trucker guy wanted to be on the show, and just this guy from Minnesota calling in and wanting to tell us the weather. It was just getting overwhelming. So I was like, this show's either got to get some traction and at least start gaining some fans, or something's got to change majorly. So I went on the Facebook group, and I just put it out there. I said, I've been doing this show, and I'm not getting any traction. Can anybody give me some ideas? So you're not allowed to promote your podcast on this thing unless someone asks you. So people said, hey, what's your show? I'll check it out. I'll see what's going on. Sorry, my computer went to sleep. That does that. And I don't know why I went to sleep, because it's set not to go to sleep. Anyway, so I've got tons of great feedback. I mean tons, like dozens and dozens of people commenting and going and listening to the show. More downloads on the last episode that we did 3 weeks ago than we've had in years. But the major things kept coming up. First of all, the website I was using, LeroyandEarl.com, I bought that domain, but it was pointing towards a free website, webs.com, but apparently that wasn't working very well. People were coming back and saying it's not loading. It's taking like 40 seconds to load. I'm losing patience. It's just, we live in an age where that's not going to work. So the main driver to get people to the show was the website, and it's not working. So my first change that I made based on those was to go back to Podbean. And we used to be with Podbean years ago, and we paid for service, but now they offer some free services, one of which is being live. We're live right now on Podbean. So you have to go and download the Podbean app on iOS or Android, and you have to create an account, sign in, all that bullcrap, and follow the Leroy and Earl show. You might have, when you search for the show, just put in Leroy, and it'll come up, go down the list. For some reason, if you put in the Leroy and Earl show, it doesn't come up. It says no podcast. So I don't know what that's just another problem I got to figure out. So anyway, we're back with Podbean. Now, before I continue, all you shift heads, I'm actually still going to be with podcasts.com. I'm going to put the show on there, so nothing's going to change for all you guys that have been downloading and listening to the show. Nothing. It'll still be in whatever app you use. If it's Apple Podcasts or whatever podcast app you use, it's still going to be there. But it's also going to be on Podbean, and LeroyandEarl.com now points to the Podbean page. It's not the greatest, but it's free, and you can go right to that page and listen to the show or download the show. Now, you'll only be able to listen or download the last 4 episodes, and they'll rotate out. But they'll always be available on podcasts.com. And there's a link on that Podbean page to take you to the website. The old website is still there. So if you wanted to go back and listen to really old shows, blah, blah, blah. So that was the first major change I had to make. LeroyandEarl.com now points to our Podbean page. We're live on Podbean. And then the second major thing that everyone said was, I don't know what your show's about. The voice changer, people called it, nobody called it a voice changer, the effect or what, they called it weird things. But basically they said they can't understand what Leroy is saying. They don't know what it's all about. And I had people saying, I'm an avid podcast listener. I'll listen to just about anything, but I couldn't handle more than about 40 seconds of that.
Wow.
So after all of those comments, I realized it's time for me to just step in, I got a call coming in. And I wasn't quite done with my story yet, but we'll get back to it. Hopefully this call works. We'll see. Hey, you're on the Leroy and Earl show. Who's this?
It's Dave. You guys already screened my call. I had to tell your phone who it was.
Yeah, that's our call screener we got in. We just want to know who it is. And actually, it never tells us, so I don't know who it was.
That's pretty great.
Dave, man, it's been a very long time since we've talked to you. How the hell are you?
Very well. Yourself?
I'm better than Custer, my friend.
Did you turn off the shtick?
The shtick is gone. Yeah, well, I was just explaining to everyone when you rudely interrupted my show.
Fuck them.
Well, let me finish. Actually, I'll just back up a little bit. Trying to make this show go forward, Dave, and get more popular. That's one of my New Year's resolutions, was to be a better podcaster and to get this show some more traction. Not that I don't really appreciate you and all the other people that listen, but I knew, and you know from listening to the show before, that the shtick would turn off new people, right? So I went to a Facebook group of 30,000 different podcasters from every level of podcasting and said, hey, what can I do to make my show better? And they said, well, let me listen to your show. And they all came back and said, I don't understand what that is. I can't hear it. It's no good. Like I just said, I had one guy said he's an avid podcast listener and will listen to anything, but he couldn't take that for more than about 20 seconds. So, and it was the same thing, just literally dozens of comments saying, first of all, they couldn't get to the website. It wasn't loading, and I changed that. And second of all was, I know it might be your shtick, but it ain't working. So,
well, I've been saying that since I called in the first goddamn time.
That's true. Wow. That's absolutely true, Dave. You did say that from the first goddamn time you called in.
Wow.
I also said kill off Nana Leroy, and you finally listened.
We finally killed. Well, we didn't kill Nana Leroy. She passed away. She had a stroke. So far.
Sure. That stroke was meant for someone else.
No, it was her time. She deserved it. So anyway, yeah, I decided it was time to get rid of all that. Now, Earl was already gone. He already quit. Now, after I'm done talking to you, Dave, I'm gonna call Leroy and I'm gonna let him go. He doesn't even know.
Oh man.
Yeah, he doesn't know. He doesn't know. In fact, I told Leroy and Ricky and the whole gang that we were taking 4 weeks off and we would be back next Wednesday. So they don't even know that we're doing a show right now.
I'm gonna DM Leroy.
Yeah. So it's I'm a little apprehensive, a little nervous because Leroy doesn't take this kind of thing too well. He's really invested in the show. He really liked doing the show, but I'm going to let him go tonight. Now, I'm going to offer
You
him.
always just hang up on him.
I may end up doing that. Yeah. You know what I mean? He knows where the studio is too, so I may be in fear of my life, but no, I'm going to offer him, to come on the show occasionally to do maybe some news or some bits or whatever, but as far as being the co-host, it's going to be me and Carlisi. Carlisi couldn't make it tonight. He was attacked by some white women with donuts.
That makes sense.
So yeah, he's he couldn't make it tonight. He's sorry about that. He'll be back next week.
I mean,
So
that's okay. You got to give Leroy his severance though, and 3 shots of Jack.
Well,
and a half of a cigar.
I'm a half a cigar, and I'm going to give him a $20 gift card to the Rib Shack.
So get him 3 ribs?
Three or 4 ribs. Yeah, I think he knows the owner down there, so he'll work it. But anyway, I foresee some turbulence over the next few weeks. I foresee someone calling in a deep voice and yelling "Baba Booey," that kind of thing. So,
Jeez.
so
My favorite episodes were the ones without a shtick.
well, I appreciate you being honest about it. And there were some people that kind of said the opposite, but those were people like Dildano.
Dildano doesn't count as a person.
Wow.
Why are you gay?
Dildano doesn't count as.
I love you, Dildano, even though I don't know you, I don't think.
That's the best thing I've ever heard in my whole life. So, well, he was one of the ones that avidly loved the shtick. Now, here's the thing. I think the avid love of the shtick was with Earl there.
Mm-hmm.
Without Earl, because Leroy was talking so much, obviously, I think that's when it started to fall apart, And Earl added that comedy to it. I mean, Leroy was really the straight guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The straight man, and Earl
Earl got real pissed off real fast.
Right, and that was hilarious. I would laugh my ass off listening to Earl do the show, so.
I would always be like, I didn't know if he was really mad.
It was 50-50. It depended on what it was.
It felt like a different ratio to me.
Okay, maybe 80-20. Yeah, I mean, there was times like if Leroy interrupted him, he was really mad about that, stuff like that. But, so.
Oh man, what else do those podcasters say? If I had to guess, would they tell you to drop politics?
No, nothing was said. I don't think anybody was able to listen to the show long enough to get any sense of what it was about. You know what I mean?
Oh, that makes sense.
In other words, they heard the show and they were like, a lot of them would message back and say, I listened to the show and I don't get it. Why are you using voice changers? And I would say, well, it's part of the shtick and blah blah blah. And they would come back and say, well, no one knows that. You need to describe all that up front. And I'm thinking, well, I can't do that every show. You know what I mean? We're not going to sit and spend 20 minutes every show saying the same thing. You know what I mean? To set the show up so people would understand the shtick. So then I started thinking, well, we could keep the shtick and keep the name, Leroy and Earl, and just have them as characters on the show like the other characters, like Father James and Saul Gorman and all those. But no one ever really said anything about the content.
They couldn't understand it.
Right, because they couldn't understand it, and they, like the one guy said, he couldn't listen to it for more than 30 seconds, so they were done.
It took me like 6 tries to get through the first episode I listened to.
Really?
Yeah. I didn't know you guys.
What do you mean by a try? What do you mean by a try? Like you would stop listening and then come back to it?
I was listening to some of the episodes that it was like weird rehashes or at the time when Earl was gone. And it didn't quite make sense. So the first episode I was actually able to fully listen to, you had some guy on who was an atheist, and then I think it was either you or your nephew calling in and being Jesus.
Oh, that was
and
me.
That's the first episode I was able to get through.
Oh, gotcha. I gotcha. Yeah.
That was pretty damn good.
Well, I appreciate that. And the thing is, though, if it's that hard, 99% of podcast listeners are not going to put that much work into it that you did.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? They're going to be they're going to bail on it pretty quick, and that's what's keeping the show from moving forward. And even the loyal shift heads like Dildano and Dr. Brown and others would say, yeah, I love it, but I try to get my friends to listen to it. They don't listen. They don't like it. So
I tried to get a couple people to listen, and they were like, I can't. I literally can't.
Yeah.
And I said, okay.
Right. And that, I mean, one guy in the group that responded on the Facebook said, hey, if you like what you're doing, keep doing it. I listen to your show. It's not for me, but if it's your thing, don't stop, dance like no one's watching kind of thing. But
podcasting like no one's listening gets expensive for no reason.
Well, expensive and time consuming. And, a lot of people said, well, why do you care about how many listeners you have? Because in this Facebook group, there's 30,000. So we got people that, like me, all the way up to people that do it for a living. Like there's people that own these podcast host sites that are in this Facebook group that chime in. So you got all levels.
Oh, wow.
You got all levels of people in this podcast group. But if it takes that much work to get, it is fun doing it. I'm really enjoying doing it right now and talking to you, but if it's just me and you all the time and no one else ever listens, it's not as fun. Do you know what I'm saying?
You could just call me.
Right, right. Yeah, why do I have all these computers going on? I could just call you. We could just talk on the way home from work or whatever. Yeah. So So enough about this show. As you know, we're live on Podbean now. You might want to check that out sometime, Dave. Carlisi says it sounds great. He says you're crystal clear. Everything's crystal clear. And you can actually even call in on that app. I don't know how that works. We're going to figure that out as we go on. So, but, excuse me.
Another an app.
Yeah, that's exactly what Carlisi said. Another app. Well, I don't know. You know, you don't have to. It's just an option out there. But it will help us gain other listeners because people go on that. Podbean's one of the bigger podcast hosting sites, so we'll gain some traction.
Yeah, it's one of the only other ones that you can actually review something on, right? That's Stitcher and iTunes.
Well, no. See, Stitcher and iTunes and Podbean aren't the same. That's you know,
I know, that's what I'm saying. There's only 3 like podcatchers that you can actually review something. And people see it.
yeah, like iTunes and right. Podbean, I don't know if you can do reviews and stuff, but you can follow people and blah 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 and all that. But we were with Podbean for a good year, and it was great. It was a great experience. It was $10 a month at the time. Right now we're trying out the free level. So when you go to LeroyandEarl.com now, you're going to go straight to a Podbean page. It'll have the 4 most recent episodes that you can download or listen to right from there. You don't have to go anywhere else.
Okay.
Now,
I'll check it out for you.
Thank you. Most people probably, are going to use Apple Podcasts or Google whatever or a podcatcher like you said. What do you use to listen to the show?
I have Podcast Addict.
Okay, yeah, a lot of people use that. I think Dildano uses that, to be honest with you. Yeah.
It's one of the cleaner ones, and it works with my car Bluetooth pretty well.
Yeah. And the changes in the show aren't like it's you won't have to do anything. You're still going to get it on that podcatcher.
All right.
So we're still going
to.
We're still
There's a very good chance I'm going to forget.
You're right. Yeah, that's another thing. I didn't want to lose the fans we did have, especially if there's a few out there that we don't know about. So I'm still going to upload the show to podcasts.com, which we've been using for the past year and a half. So that's the site that sends it to you. But it'll also be available at LeroyandEarl.com. Right.
Whatever happened to your dude who lives in Seattle that you would call every once in a while?
Dude that lives in Seattle. Oh. I don't think we knew his name. I think we gave him a fake name. I don't know. He I think if I remember rightly, we tried to call him back and the number was disconnected or something. But yeah, that was great. There was a totally random call one night to the show.
It was awesome. It was the best thing I ever heard. I was like, I cannot believe this actually happened.
I couldn't either. I was shocked because it was completely random. So, but yeah, I think we talked to him twice, and then we had his number, and yeah, we never heard from him again. But so, Dave, how are you doing? How's the wife and kids?
They're doing great. I appreciate you asking.
Well, we do think about you here at the show. You're the only person we've ever sent money to.
Well,
and probably the only one we ever will.
I was going through a pretty rough patch, so it really meant a lot at that time.
We were happy to do it, and we're glad, even though it wasn't, obviously not a ton of money, but it's the thought that counts, and it was probably enough to, take your wife to dinner, that kind of thing. So
yeah, it was great.
And Earl only had to suffer through 5 minutes of a scorching hot sucker in his mouth.
I mean, he didn't have to. He
right.
definitely just did.
Right.
The timer was up, and he kept going.
I know. He's crazy.
Wow.
He sent me a video the other day of tuna eating the bacon and cheddar crickets that they had bought right at the same time, and I refused. I'm like, I'm not doing it. And they kept it, and he found it like a year and a half later, and he sent me a video of her eating them. So, yeah.
Pretty fucking nasty.
Pretty nasty, yeah. I mean, if they were fresh, maybe, right? But
no, I don't. You know me, I don't eat pork or beef. So
no pork.
Not for me.
Well, was a cricket considered pork or beef?
No, but the bacon is.
Oh, it's just bacon flavor. It's not real bacon.
Oh, wow.
So you could eat them.
Maybe I'd try it, like those chips or Bako bits.
So I was off Twitter.
We've been talking for 10 minutes, and we didn't get in one fight.
Well, why would we fight?
Why would we fight?
About
That's
politics?
A good point.
About politics? You know what? The whole politics thing is, there's no way I want to fight about it. I mean, I have my opinion. You have your opinion. Neither one of our opinions are going to change anything that happens.
I grew up Republican.
Grew up Republican.
I moved left.
So when you say you grew up Republican, are you just saying that your family had conservative
No.
values, or are they like diehard Republicans?
I was pretty far right till I met people, and then I started learning other things. Started meeting, like I went to college, I met some people, and I was like, well, maybe not all of it. And then I moved a little further to the left, started meeting more people. I was like, oh, maybe Reagan did hate gay people, and that's a bad thing.
Maybe
So
you
then
did.
I kept moving left and left, and now I'm pretty far over there now. But I grew up pretty hardcore right wing.
Well, I grew up pretty hardcore right wing myself, and I would say I moved a little bit. Maybe
I'd call you in the center.
maybe I would say more like just a couple of feet to the right. You know, I'm still.
Well, maybe.
I think I'm
The
more.
center to me is pretty far right.
That's the other side of the planet for you, still, right? Is that what you're
Yeah.
saying?
So I mean, yeah, you're around the center.
Well, I think, like fiscally and military wise, and the things that I feel like that the government's supposed to do. You know what I mean? Like that's spelled out in the Constitution.
Sure.
I feel like I'm very right wing conservative still on those issues.
I
Social.
guess I would ask you, and this is not the fight,
I
but
feel
if
like you.
America is the richest nation in the world,
Did you say if?
how come we can't figure out healthcare?
Well, because I feel like there are some downsides to a capitalist free economy, and
Okay.
one of the downsides
wow.
is everyone is trying to get theirs.
I did not expect that answer from you.
Really? What did you
No, I
expect that I would
expected
say?
you to just say you should pay for what you get.
Well, I mean, you should, but I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, I trust me, I'm as frustrated with the healthcare system as the next guy, but I don't think socialistic healthcare is quite the answer. I think as with almost all extreme issues, the answer is really somewhere in the middle, not on the right or the left. Totally.
Yeah,
You know what
you're
I mean?
right. The other 95 free countries, they got it wrong.
Well, I feel like
I didn't mean to get into a fight.
no,
I'm
no,
sorry.
no. There's no way you could go me into a fight right now. I just don't. As I've always said on this show, and as Leroy said before, we just don't care that much. You know, what I mean, I care a little bit, but not that much. But
That makes sense.
I feel like, just like I said a minute ago, no matter what you and I feel about it, doesn't change anything, and we could fight about it, and that still doesn't change anything. And I feel like with any of these political topics or social issues, do we really know the answer? Have you ever lived in a country that has socialized medicine? You know what I mean?
I
haven't. I haven't.
Yeah.
So I can't say it sucks. I'm not gonna mimic Sean Hannity's saying socialized healthcare sucks because I've never lived there. How do I know? I know in principle, in my mind, when I think about it, I know when I go down to the BMV to get my car tags renewed, I don't want the government running healthcare. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it does suck.
It would
When
have
it's-
to be.
the localized government becomes so powerful. Like the DMV. I live in Pennsylvania, and we have such strict rules every year for getting our car inspected. Just every crazy thing. It's just another way for the local government to raise money, and our roads are shit. So it's like, what is this money for?
Right. Well, and I just
If DMV is collecting taxes, should it not be for roads?
right. Where's it going? Where's the money going? Right.
Yeah.
I feel like both the options of healthcare that seem to be presented, the one we have now, and socialized healthcare, neither one are going to work. There's got to be something in the middle where there's more accountability. Maybe it's government involvement, but not total control. So where the government could regulate prices so it doesn't cost $1,000 to get a blood test. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
I'm
that
going
kind
to
of
move
thing.
you to a socialist one of these days.
You think you'll
I
move me
feel
to be a
it. I can
socialist?
feel it happening.
Really?
You're going to be socialist by the time I'm done with you.
Really?
I think so. You're already sort of there.
I don't think so at all. I think you're going to be a capitalist someday.
No, I
Imperi-
was.
I feel like I'm moving you back towards there, Dave. Towards
Oh,
capitalism.
man. I don't think so.
No.
I am afraid that the dark side has lost me.
Oh boy. Just you just called up wanting to fight, didn't you? Is that
I
what
did.
you did? Did you?
I did. And when you
Okay.
didn't fight me right away, and it wasn't that booming Leroy voice, I was like, oh man, I got to be nice for at least a little bit.
Well, if he's ever on the show, you could always call in and see if he'll fight with you. I mean, like I said, I'm predicting the next few weeks, if Leroy's on the show, he's not going to be in a good mood. So
I'll fight him. I'll fight the ghost of Nana Leroy.
the ghost of Nana Leroy. That's an awesome idea right there. You just gave me an awesome idea.
I'll get Saul disbarred.
That probably wouldn't be too hard.
No, well, I mean, he doesn't exist. So, done. I did it already.
Son of a bitch!
All right, well, I'm going to let you finish your show, do your news.
All right, I appreciate it.
All right.
Hey,
Thank you for having my call.
Hey, Dave, you call anytime you'd like.
I will.
All right, thanks, Dave.
All right, bye.
That's the face of Dave from Twitter. He is definitely our biggest Twitter fan. We have some other Twitter fans over there. Michelle from Boston, who's on Twitter and Facebook, so I don't really think her as only being Twitter. But anyway, that's Dave. Where was I? I was talking about the show and the changes, and I think I kind of covered everything. I'm going to have to call Leroy here soon. I got to be honest, I'm kind of dreading it. I'm kind of putting it off. I'm really, really nervous. But it's got to be done. Like I said, he thinks he's coming back to do the show next Wednesday. He thinks he was just off for 3 weeks when it was really only 2. So, see, now I kind of miss the days of not being live where I could stop the tape, gather my belongings, gather my thoughts, and take care of business. So, just to recap real quick, this is the Leroy and Earl Show. I'm Chuck Jones, creator of the show. I'm going to have to call Leroy, who has been a host on the show for years. I hired him in 2014, him and Early Miss Tate, to do this show. And because it's just not working out with him, I'm going to have to let him go. So I'm going to give him a call here. I got to punch the number in here. Tick, tick. One thing people said when in the critiques on Facebook was, stop doing your technical problems on the show. And I'm like, okay, how do you do that? First of all, we'd never have a show. This show's been based on technical problems. So, I wouldn't even know where to start. Hello, are you there? Hello?
Hello?
Leroy, is that you?
Yeah, is this Chuck?
Yeah, what's going on, man?
I just had a party here, hanging out with some friends. Just chilling, man. Just chilling.
Are you in a room with a bunch of people right now, or are you by yourself?
Well, I'm in the kitchen. I was in here getting Colt 45 malt liquor. I was gonna pop it open, and actually most of the people left. There's just a few people in the other room doing some weird stuff. Don't even know what they're doing. So I'm feeling weird. Why are you calling me on a Wednesday night at 7:35?
What do you mean? Why?
Because that's when the show is usually on. But you told me to take the 3 weeks off.
Yeah, about that.
Are you kidding? Don't even say you're going to do what I think you're going to do.
What do you think I'm going to do?
Are you going to get rid of Carlisi and make Ricky the co-host?
No.
Oh, my God. Whoa. Tell you what, I was nervous there for a second because I can't do Ricky. And Carlisi's great. Carlisi's going to take this show to the next level. I think we should change the name to Leroy Carlisi. So, but Ricky can't. No more Ricky. I guess he can still intern, but.
Leroy.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, man. Is we've been doing this show. I hired you in 2014, you and Earl, and you guys did some good work. You really did. And then Earl quit, and then he came back, and then he quit again, and just you really struggled for a while, and but you did a good job.
Yeah, I worked hard. I mean, I knew I was by myself. I knew I had a uphill to climb, but I feel like with Carlisi coming on board, things are going to get a lot better.
Well, it's not that they were bad. It's just, all right, I'm just going to level with you because I know you feel it.
Yeah, I do.
We're going to have to let you go, Leroy.
Let me go. You mean let me go to the store for whiskey?
No, Leroy, we're not going to have you on the podcast anymore as a host.
Are you shitting me? Are you shitting me right now? Why? Why, Chuck? I've given my heart and soul to this.
I knew this was going to happen, Leroy.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta tell me why, man.
Well, I explained it in the show.
What do you mean in the show? Are we live right now?
Yes, we're live on Podbean.
Oh my God. I should hang up. I should hang up and come down there and kick your ass, Chuck.
Listen, there's no point in getting violent and starting a fight. If you want to do that, call the face of Dave.
I think I will.
Wow.
So, Leroy, I love you, man. You did a great job since 2014 on, but people, you're just not. Your voice is not. It's too hard to capture live. It's too hard to capture, and it's just it,
Come on, man. Have the balls to just tell me the truth.
the truth is you're not good for the show anymore, and we got to do something. I want to get some more traction. I don't want you to just keep doing the same thing over and over again, and it just doesn't work.
What about, you're live on Podbean right now and somebody, might be listening.
Yeah, people might be listening, and they know that I'm firing you. So what?
Try it again.
If you're listening, the dude of New Windsor said, "Are you seriously going to fire him now?" Yeah, I'm firing him right now. And I would respond, but my hands are full. Dude of New Windsor, thanks for listening to the Leroy and Earl Show, by the way. LeroyandEarl.com. So, Leroy.
Yeah.
Listen, man, it's not that you can't be on the show from time to time. You can even come up with some of your own bits and whatever, but you can't be the co-host. I'm going to take over.
You're a freaking ass.
What? Come on, man.
You're going to steal my show right from underneath of me. That's what you're doing.
I'm not stealing it. It's my show. I created it. I hired you to do it. And now I'm letting you go because we're going to go a different direction.
A different direction? So you're not going to be the Adult Cartoon Podcast anymore?
I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. You can come on.
Oh, I can come on and do like Father James and Saul Gorman and do little bits, little skits and dance around like your little trained monkey.
Hey, don't go that direction.
Well, you think I'm just going to settle for that, huh?
No, actually, I didn't. I thought you were going to give me a really hard time. This was going to be several weeks, months long, drawn out. You being pissed at me.
Well, you nailed that on the head, didn't you?
Yes, I guess I did. Listen, man, I don't want to make this any harder than it is. Can you just think about it? Think about what I'm saying. Think about the things. Go look at the Facebook page. Look at all of the things that people said about the show.
Like what?
That they can't understand you. They don't understand the show. It doesn't work for them. When people listen to a show, I had a guy say he's a podcast addict and he listens to everything, but he couldn't handle you for more than 20 seconds.
He probably can't handle anything.
Well, that's a good comeback. You probably can't handle anything.
Way. Easy.
Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. I shouldn't make fun of you.
Wow.
Leroy.
What?
Look, man, I hope you'll still stay associated with the show. Your name's going to be on it. It's still going to stay the Leroy and Earl Show, although we're considering changing the name, but we probably won't. We'll stay the Leroy and Earl Show. So your name will still be on it. You'll still be famous. As is Earl is still famous, although he's even been on the show in years.
This is what's going to happen to Ricky?
Ricky's gone, too.
Oh, that makes me feel a little better. You really going to fire Ricky?
Ricky's never done anything around here. I'm going to give him the same offer I gave you. Don't relax before you get pissed off. I'm going to have him on once in a while, but he's not coming in the studio, and he's not going to be an intern anymore. So does that make you even slightly happier?
A little bit. Look, man, I'm going to take off. Everybody left. I'm here all by myself standing there with the malt liquor in my hand. It's warm now.
Why didn't you put it back in the fridge?
I wasn't thinking this was going to be a 20-minute conversation about me getting fired from my own podcast.
It's not your podcast.
Damn it. What's it called?
The Leroy and Earl Show.
What's my name?
Leroy.
What's your name?
Chuck.
There you go. Bye.
That went exactly like I thought it would. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. All right, this is, what is this show called? This is Leroy and Earl Show. I'm Chuck Jones, the creator of the show. Just to recap real quick, we're live on Podbean now every week at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. LeroyandEarl.com will take you to our Podbean page where you can listen to the latest 4 or 5 episodes straight from the page there. You can listen to them or download them. And you'll still be able to listen to the show on any podcast app, wherever you have been previously listening to it. None of that is going to change. I want to put a big shout out to Dildano, okay? Dildano went to Apple Podcasts and left a review for us. It's been years of me begging people, please go to wherever you listen to the show. Now, Dave just mentioned that he couldn't leave reviews on his podcatcher, which I don't even know if people call it podcatchers anymore, do they? But there's only a few places where you listen to podcasts where you can leave reviews, and Apple Podcasts is one of them. And Dildano came through, left us a review. So we got 2 there now. Over the last, I don't know how many years we've been doing the show, we got 2. But hey, again, not going to harp on that. Another thing we're going to change up on Twitter, if anybody cares, our hashtag is going to be Leroy and Earl, not Shiftheads. Didn't work anyway, so we're going to try something different. Everything we're doing now is just trying something different. So anyway, I was planning on, we're coming down to the show here, and I was planning on doing some news stories. I might do them real quick, but I need to call Ricky real quick just to let him know, because I don't want him coming down here, next week or whatever. And see, I feel like I should say, Ricky, could you get yourself on the line? But that doesn't make any sense now, does it? Hey, Ricky, you there?
What's good going on with the app? Who is this?
This is Chuck.
Hey, what's up, buddy? This is Ricky Dixon.
I know who it is. I called you.
Oh, that's right. You know what you should do?
What?
You should get sound effects of phones ringing and picking up stuff. That way it seems like you're actually calling someone.
I am actually calling someone, you jackball. Don't do that.
Sorry, mister. Hey, what's Mr. Leroy doing?
I don't know what he's doing. He's out with some friends. Why?
He just called me and said, he just texted me and said, boom, it's all coming down. I wanted to see if you knew what that meant.
I do, buddy. I'm calling to let you know that we're letting you go.
Letting me go where?
You're no longer going to be an intern on the Leroy and Earl Show. We fired Leroy tonight. Earl's gone, and I'm taking over the show, and we're going to move in a slightly different direction.
That sounds like a great idea, Mr. Jones. I mean, you should have done that years ago, because people don't want to listen to Leroy's fat mouth.
Hey, that's not all it's about.
Well, I think it's a great idea. I don't care if I'm on the show anymore. I got a job working for the Pepsi company, and I go down to the vending machines and I put money in.
What?
I go to the vending machines. I put the money in the vending machine. I get a Pepsi out. I drink it. And I go tell somebody if it was good or not.
You mean like some kind of quality control?
Yeah.
Oh, how much does that pay?
Well, it don't pay me anything. It costs me money.
That's not a job, Ricky. You're just drinking Pepsi.
Well, I feel like it's work. I feel like I'm doing something constructive. I got a bad one the other day, and I went to the people that said it, and they gave me the thing to do it. What?
You're an idiot. Listen, I would like to have you on the show once in a while, and
Hey, could I do a joke of the week?
what? Now,
Yeah, you just said you could have me on the show.
I was gonna say I would like to keep you on the show, as a guest or to come on to do bits and stuff. So I guess you could do a bit now.
I guess I could. So listen, this is Ricky's joke of the week. To play my theme music.
No theme music.
Hey, I can't call you Mr. Leroy. Mr. Jones,
You can call me Chuck.
Mr. Chuck.
Yes.
What does your Christmas bonus? Or wait a minute. What's the same as a Christmas bonus but is a penis?
What?
That's not right. I'm forgetting how to do the joke, Mr. Chuck. Let's see. What's the difference between how is your wait a minute. I can't do it.
Did you forget the joke?
I know the punchline. I just can't remember. I can't remember how to do it. What's the difference between a Christmas bonus and your penis?
What?
Your wife will blow your Christmas bonus.
That's terrible. Now you're going to get me in trouble.
Why would you get in trouble?
My wife's going to think I told that joke.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chuck. I gotta go. I don't want to talk to you anymore. Bye.
Wow. Well, that was easier than Leroy. I can tell you that much. Right now. All right, this is the Leroy and Earl show. I think we are going to stick with the name. I mean, I got too much wrapped up in the name, and it's still going to be, Leroy's still going to be on the show. I don't know if Earl will ever come back. Probably not. But it's going to be me, Chuck Jones, and Carlisi every weeknight, every Wednesday night, at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, live on the Podbean app and live on our YouTube channel right here, buddy. And I got that baby going just in the nick of time. And if you see that picture there, I got to get rid of this stuff off the screen so I can see the picture. If you see that picture there, oh, there it is. There it is. You see that picture there? That's Carlisi being attacked by white women because he stole their donut. I'm guessing. That's all I can think of when looking at that picture. Stole their donut. So he couldn't be with us tonight because he was attacked by those white women. So you can hit us up on Twitter at Lee Warner. I know I talked a lot about the show tonight. It's almost time to get it over with. But I am going to talk about one news story that I said I was going to talk about. And it was posted wrong computer there. Posted on Twitter there. And the headline is, transgender man gives birth to a child using a transgender woman's sperm. Now, I wanted to get Father James on the line to ask him what he thought about that, but he's not answering. I did tell Father James Saul Gorman about what was happening tonight, and I think they might be listening on Podbean. I think the dude of Windsor is Saul Gorman. But anyway, I know that I think they're boycotting because I don't think they're happy with what's going on. But I don't care. We got to do what we got to do to move this show forward. I put too much effort into this. If you could see the studio around me right now, which I'll maybe give a tour someday, it's insane. Probably more stuff than I need to do a simple podcast like this. But anyway. Are you happy now? Yes. I just punched a hole in my wall! So anyway, can men give birth? These days, it depends on who you ask, unfortunately. But the answer is no, not biologically in any form or fashion. It's true, whether you like it or not. The growing transgender movement means that giving birth, a purely female domain, is now being co-opted by people who want to ignore biological realities in pursuit of transgender ideology. The story I'm reading sounds like it's definitely from the point of someone who's not in favor of all this, but it's real. It's realistic, right? The case in point here, a recent story from the UK about a transgender man, a biological woman who believes she is a man who gave birth to a child. As the Mirror UK, that's a magazine or a newspaper, puts it, proud dad Reuben Sharp today tells how he gave birth to a miracle baby in Britain's most modern family. It's a miracle baby because he's a man. According to the article, Sharp still had maternal instincts and 6 years ago stopped taking testosterone in the hope of one day having a child. So he's transgendered, is actually born a female, transgendered into a male, but because of the maternal instincts decided to stop with the testosterone so she could get pregnant. And I didn't say he, she in a derogatory way. He. It's a she, but she wants to be a he. But unfortunately, she can't. But she's having a baby as a man. So it's a miracle. It's a miracle a man is having a baby. In order to conceive a child, Sharp and Sharp's partner, a biological woman who identifies as non-binary, used a sperm donation from a transgender woman, a man who believes he's a woman, for the sperm donation. Now, at this point, I'm confused. I almost have to read that again. It sounds like there's a third person involved. In order to conceive a child, Sharp and Sharp's partner, a biological woman who identifies as non-binary, used a sperm donation from a transgender woman, a man who believes he is a woman, for the sperm donation. Needless to say, the situation is complex. So it sounds like this person didn't even have the baby. I don't know. Throughout the article, Sharp talks about how she wanted desperately to have a child. Sharp's doctor, who is also transgender, it's convenient, told her that it was possible since he still had his womb and ovaries. Only biological women can have womb and ovaries. Like many things, people have got it into their heads that this is a female thing. This is a male thing, Sharp said. Having a child is male, female, everyone. Even when people go through that pregnancy experience with their partner, it's a joint thing. Now, I have 3 kids, and my wife would not agree with that at all.
Wow.
In any sense of the saying. It's not a joint thing. I mean, yes, she got what a woman does to have a baby is amazing. The baby gets inside her. She grows the baby for 9 months. She delivers the baby. She feeds the baby with her body. She doesn't even need anything else, contrary to what some people might think. She feeds with her body. And my contribution was, 4 seconds of doing something that I think about all the time anyway. So to say that it's a joint, that's just bullcrap. Wanting to have a baby doesn't feel like a female thing to me. I don't think pregnancy is the ultimate female experience. Therefore, it didn't challenge me as a man. It doesn't make a woman less of a woman if she's not keen on pregnancy, infertile, doesn't want a baby, or whatever. This isn't a trans issue. It affects everyone. Well, here's my take on all this. I don't care what people do. If you're a man and you want to be a woman, do whatever you want. Go have add a dick to me, cut a dick off of me, whatever you want to do. Do it. As long as you're not hurting other people, okay? But you can't be a woman if you're a man. You can have your dick cut off and turned into a fake vagina. You can take testosterone, or you can take estrogen, or whatever it does to make you more like a female. And if you are someone who has transitioned, I would be happy to treat you like the gender you would like to be. If you're a man who's transitioned into a woman, I will call you her. I will everything. I am not bigoted in any way, shape, or form, and I love you. I love you as a woman. You're kind of cute, actually, even though you were born a guy. You're kind of cute, but I can't. I'm sorry that you can't actually be a woman. I wish you could. If this whole thing about gender dysphoria or disidentity or whatever it is a real mental problem, I feel so bad for someone who has to go through that. And it's just, but we can't say we can't say in a headline that's, fake news, that a man gives birth to a child. Even if you put the word transgender in front of it, it's confusing. Transgender. Transgender man gives birth to a child using the transgender woman's sperm. People, it's going to be to the point where in 50 years, no one's going to know what's what. No one's going to know anything. So there you go. That's that news story. And in sadder news, if we could get sadder, up to 10,000 thirsty camels are going to be shot and killed in Australia this week or tomorrow, or it may be already done. That's right. As you've been watching the news, Australia's burning to the ground, and amidst the devastating wildfires that are spreading across Australia, up to 10,000 camels will be shot and killed following complaints that they're drinking too much water.
Wow.
Can a camel drink? I didn't think camels needed that much water. Am I missing something here? Am I?
Are you kidding me?
So, but anyway, the cull will begin Wednesday, which is today. So it began today. I don't know what the time zone is in Australia, but thousands of camels are being slaughtered in Australia because they drink too much water. And is there PETA? Hello, PETA, get down there. Now, Australia has 1.3 million camels. Did anyone know that? Did you know that? I didn't know Australia had any camels. I thought they had koalas and kangaroos. Camels. I thought they were all in the Middle East. Well, maybe they left the Middle East because of what's going on and all headed over to Australia. Well, can't get over there anyway. But anyway, did you hear that amidst the tension between sorry, I ruined that joke. I probably shouldn't even say it, but amidst the tension between America and Iran, France has already surrendered. Anyway, 10,000 camels are going to be shot. They hired professional camel shooters. Anybody applying for that job recently? A professional camel shooter? Not I, says the wise man. So anyway, next week we're going to be back live again at 7 p.m. on the Podbean app, on Podbean. Download the Podbean app if you would like. And you can listen to the show there. I'm trying to find a good song to run us out here with but being live like this can be a little more difficult. So anyway, we will see you guys next week. We're going to talk about in the Cleveland area. Cleveland, the Cuyahoga County has outlawed plastic bags. You know, the plastic bags you get at the grocery store? Against the law. It's supposed to be January 1st. They've decided to give us a grace period. I don't live there. I live south of there, but give them a grace period. Now, July 1st, all plastic bags have to be out of the stores. We'll talk about that next week. I think next week we'll talk about Baby Yoda. We'll talk about your New Year's resolution. You can call in, talk about that. And Carlise will be back. So, again, we'll be live on YouTube and Podbean. And you can download the show and listen to the show at LeroyandEarl.com anytime you want.
Tell me it was good. Tell me I'm good. Tell me I'm good. Tell me that was good. Tell me I'm 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 good.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to that. We'll try that again.
You're listening to the Leroy and Earl Show. All 2 inches of it.
Make sure you catch our live YouTube shows because of the copyrighted music. You probably won't be able to watch it afterwards. Michelle, if you listen tonight, I really appreciate it. Dildano, Dr. Brown, Face of Dave, T-Rex. There's other people I know that like this show. Jack Nevers. Jack Nevers and his lovely wife. I would like to thank everyone that listens to this show. I can't always remember everyone that listens to this show. So if you're listening right now and I did not say your name, get on Twitter, get on Facebook, and tell me I'm an idiot and that I should say your name next week, and I will. Or you can come on the show. All right, still live on YouTube because that's the last thing I'm going to turn off after I end the show. So let me stop this. There's no point in keeping that rolling. All right, thank you, YouTubers. Carly's will be next week. Be back next week, however that goes. So, all right.